I would like to invite Dr. Karnika Seth. Is an internationally renowned cyber law, IP, and media law expert practicing in the Supreme Court of India. She is an accomplished author, policymaker, and a highly inspiring speaker in conferences, print, and electronic media and television. Dr. Seth is the founder of Seth Associates, an established law firm based in Delhi that renders legal services to both domestic and global clients. Dr. Seth's contribution to growth and development of cyber laws in India and internationally is widely acknowledged in the corporate world. She has been empaneled as a member of the working group of ICANN, formed to design the policy framework impacting global domain registration services. So she contributes to various working group consultation aimed at designing policies for emerging technologies. She is also associated with the FICCI, CII, NASCOM, DSCI, ASHORAM, other industry bodies, and highly recommended as a cyber lawyer, policy maker, and law enforcement and corporate educator on cyber laws. Dr. Karnika Seth is a part of international legal think tanks that work for women and child empowerment. She has been on expert panel of UNICEF working on online safety and actively associated with the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In its think tanks in India, Dr. Seth has also founded a philanthropic organization, Foundation for Institutional Reform and Education, to promote cyber awareness and particularly work for empowering women and children in India. Dr. Seth was conferred the Great Indian Woman Award in 2021 and National Gaurav Award in 2017 for exemplary contribution to cyber laws. She received the Digital Empowerment Award in 2015, the Law Day Award from the Chief Justice of India for her book, Protection of Children on Internet. She also received the Law Day Award in 2012 for her book, Computers, Internet, and New Technology Laws. And his specialties are cyber law, data privacy, data protection, media laws, intellectual property, business laws, joint ventures, litigation, corporate law practices, arbitration, international trade, anti-dumping, technology laws, cyber awareness, cyber education. So I invite Dr. Karnika Seth, as he is being very cooperative and associated with the Information Security Education Awareness Program of Ministry of Electronics and IT. He is the one of the member who is there with us from long association from 2008 onwards. So she is supporting our activities to take awareness program across all masses in India. So thank you, madam, and I welcome you to take up, and over to you.
Thank you so much. It's again a pleasure to be here to talk to the audience today. And as I would say, CDAC and Smoothie's team is really I would say a pioneer in terms of spreading the cyber education in India. That's why I have been associated with them for such a long time. And today's event is very important indeed. We are celebrating 75 years of independence of India, and how the digital India has taken forward, in technology, the whole space in the Indian global economy, is affected by the Indian economic growth as well. Despite the pandemic, we have done well for our country. We have shown a strong resilience, and we've shown how we can despite all odds just forge ahead with helping our nation grow. And educations, particularly online education sphere, has spurred a very, very rapid progress, and it's a very promising future indeed. And therefore we're talking about cyber law today and cyber crimes, and how we can protect ourselves online, because our maximum businesses have gone online and digitized. Therefore the threats are also imminent, and sometimes for lack of awareness huge losses could be caused, so which we want to avoid and prevent. And the topical nature of this event is therefore very apt indeed, celebrating 75 years of independence and how we will be forging ahead with cyber safety and with a strong plan of action to help our population understand the benefits of internet and technology. Yet, while we're deriving the benefits, we are also mindful of the threats which are percolating in the cyberspace today and how to avoid them. So I was fascinated as always with Triveniji's the discussion today, and taking forward from what he has already discussed. I would like to delve on areas which he has not so far focused. So we will be talking about certain of these crimes. For example, we have seen a rise of man in the middle attacks, today. So in the business, in the corporate world, the ransomware attacks and the man in the middle attacks are by far, I think, gaining ground, and that is what we need to be aware of. A lot of times fake IDs are created by these people who are hackers, and usually they are known, they're ex-employees, or they could be even current employees or other third parties who know the account officers or the teams of those two companies where they're exchanging correspondence on email. They would forge or alter the email IDs, and they would create forged invoices, and then the monies would be transferred to another location. In ransomware, on the other hand, there would be, encrypted, the hard drive would be encrypted entirely. The data could be encrypted, and then asking for monies to decrypt that information. So we've seen these two, crimes rise during this time. And today's focus for me is also on cyber crimes against women and children, particularly because 7% or more rise in crime has been seen in this space, although I deal with all kinds of cyber crimes. Yet, I think we will just have a quick look at certain aspects. Can I ask for a screen share, please? Okay.
Already given them.
Yes. So you can see from here. We will be starting discussion on this aspect right away. So cyber crimes and protection of women and children is one of the key areas which deserves a lot of attention, because a lot of times we see women in particular have been harassed during this COVID times, when the crime has increased from 85-86% in the last year to 600%. That's what we've seen, the figures say. So if that is the case, then definitely this deserves attention as well, and in fact needs a serious look. So when we were discussing, the cybersecurity policy of the country also, during those discussions, this area also was, highlighted, because the relevance because of the importance of the same. And I think when we say 7% rise against women, crimes against women, this may be actually not the right figures, because there is a lot of underreporting because of fear of stigma, because of lack of faith in somehow the system. The people are apprehensive to come up and report crimes, and that is why these figures may not be actually real figures, but yes, they are on facts and they are on paper. And if we see the kind of usage of internet, definitely we have seen a huge, ranking changes in terms of India is now 131 on global index of ICT access, but probably now these figures have come down to about 100, 112. And what is perceived today is that the number of attacks which are happening primarily on social media. The reason is obvious, because people can vent out their anger, people can write anything on the social media, they can troll, they can cyberbully, they can write anything. And we've seen likewise, it has been a weapon also. I can't say social media is bad, because social media is part and parcel of the ecosystem, and it has been used for Me Too movements as well. So it is a tool of I would say a powerful tool if used rightly and for the right purposes. And therefore, there have been a lot of crimes which have risen on social media or otherwise against women. However, it has also given them redressals. So we see a lot of times rape and dowry deaths or asset attacks is not the only thing that is worrisome at this point. So we see a lot of crimes against women rise in this period, and legislation to protect them has also been, I would say, amended. From time to time, we've seen POXO, for example, amended, the Protection of Children Against Sexual Offences Act. So this act has also been amended lately, and stringent punishments in the IPC have also been put in cases of any kind of cyber harassment or video voyeurism or any kind of invasion of privacy of women. So there is a lot happening in that regard, which we'll be talking about. But let me come to specifically children in today's world, like today's time specifically, they're online and their education is online. And at this point, a lot of children are using credit cards to, buy maybe ebooks or otherwise for their own gaming and other reasons. And figures actually are alarming. When we see crimes against children, I've seen the NCRB data says only 305 was the number of reported crimes, but that's again not realistic because there have been many. So the internet usage by children has also increased many folds, and 76% children are not even aware, of this helpline, childline 1098, or even the NCR, this NCPCR POXO button, which they have for reporting, or 112, in fact, for that matter of fact. So there is a lot of surge of crimes against children, yet the awareness levels is lacking, and therefore we have been doing a lot of these awareness sessions from time to time. Apart from the active practice that we run, there is a need for cyber awareness, and that is why across 14-15 states in India, we have from time to time, especially in the last 2 years, had 50 or more odd webinars discussing these requirements and these problems and how we can tackle them in the country. So there have been awareness specifically to academia, children, and also women, and other organizations like UNICEF, or I would say NCRT or MIT, or ISEA leading their way through this whole crusade of the cyber education. And if we talk about children specifically, then they are attacked through online gaming portals these days, malvertising, because a lot of times false ads come to them, asking them for credit card information to buy coupons, or to lure them into other activities which are not appropriate for their age. So that's something which is very worrisome, and we need to take action on that front. So any kind of children are generally told that if they see anything which is disturbing on the net, they should report it to the school authorities or to the parents. That's very essential. So any a child is sometimes attempt to befriend a child there on social media. Some stranger might write to him, or some stranger might send a message to him and ask him to send selfies. Now, children are unaware, of these issues, and we need to educate our, young generation on what are the kinds of crimes which are prevalent today. Coming back to types of crimes, when we say that, we classify actually them into 3 categories: crimes against government, crimes against property, and crimes against persons. So here we are talking primarily on the third, angle, but cyber terrorism, as we understand, hacking, affecting the critical infrastructure of the country, credit card frauds, and likewise, stealing away of data, IP-related crimes, intellectual property crimes, and forging documents or sending malware. Pegasus is the latest example, but then there are many malwares which have been prevalent in the whole ecosystem here in cyberspace, and we see a lot of defamation activity happening. So corporates are defamed, or individuals could be defamed when cyber stalking, following somebody, stalking someone, or bullying someone on the net, and identity theft. So all of them sometimes are not standalone crimes, but they are mixed with others. And a lot of cyber pornography, child pornography, or even sextortion, sexting. Those are the kind of issues which we are seeing today. And every single day there are new queries on these issues, and there are reported cases also. But there are active courts dealing with cybercrime cases, and police stations working, like investigators working to curb these crimes. But there has been a rising trend specifically from the point of view of child grooming. So a lot of times stranger would contact a child and ask him to or her to meet online and then offline as well. So that's something which we need to tackle. And though there are sections in the IT Act and POXO also, then it's basically prohibited. Grooming or child pornography using a child to commit any kind of creation of any kind of explicit videos or audio or any kind of materials is actually illegal and punishable offense. So it could be punished with up to 5 years of imprisonment or more. And defamation is anyways under IPC. We know that criminal defamation is punishable. Then cyber stalking, cyber bullying, trolling, all of them are specific I would say illegal activities. And revenge pornography is also worrisome, because I have dealt with a number of cases where a child, for example, is contacted through a peer, and there is a fake identity created and exchange of selfies occurs. And after the relationship between the two, it gets estranged. The one of them starts blackmailing the other and started to circulate or publish some revenge pornography. And that's again a punishable offense, even if it's a child below 18 years of age. It is something which Juvenile Justice Act deals with and is taken very strictly, and legal recourse is available. And many cases of defamation, you have both remedies, civil and criminal, where there is a criminal prosecution and claim for compensation can also be made. Now, for special courts, for cybercrime are not there. So general criminal justice system works. And the civil courts, there is a body called adjudicating authority. And this is secretary IT of every state. So he handles the compensation data, for example, for stealing data, or there is a compensation for the loss of data. That can be claimed before adjudicating authority, and the higher tribunal, which is the cyber appellate tribunal, listens to or hears the appeals from the decisions of the adjudicating authority. Again, we've dealt with a lot of data theft cases wherein compensations have been granted, and whenever there is a loss of data, there has been evaluation of how much is the quantum, and then those compensations have been granted. So coming back to the common threats we are talking about, then there have been cases where suddenly there would be an email, a surge of emails in a person's account, and that is bullying for purposes of bullying. And then once it's investigated from which IP it happens, technically a person who is doing so will not use his home IP address, right? So it would be a cafe or elsewhere, some hide IP or other software tools which are used, or even Tor or other possibilities today. So investigating it becomes a little challenge. And once we know from where this has been committed, then, and when we track, it's possible to use the electronic evidence which we have. And that's a good point which I'd like to raise here, because a lot of times there's a confusion. People feel if there is a cybercrime case which happens, we don't know whether that evidence is possible, to lead in the court of law. But it is possible to lead that evidence in a court of law. There's a way to do that. And the way which is possible is that you print that out and file a section 65B certificate, we say that, in under the evidence law. And that certificate only says, by the chief technology officer or by the individual who owns that device, that this device was working fine, and it has been printed originally from there, and this is not tampered. So saying so makes that admissible in the court of law. We've used such evidence with such section 65B in and it's perfectly admissible. That there was a latest judgment of Arjun Pandit Rao case, which it has been very clearly laid down that if you want to file something like this, that's a secondary evidence, and that can be led with the section 65B certificate. Supposingly, the evidence is not with you, but it is on a server of a third party. It could be on Gmail or could be on any social media site, for instance. Then there can be a direction given by the court. If the complainant seeks that direction from the court, you can actually get that certificate from them. So that's also possible. And then we see many other issues apart from this. For example, happy slapping. Now, use of mobile or camera to record an incident where a child is cyberbullied on social media, for instance. That is something which is known as happy slapping and very commonly seen in the children today. Rumor spreading, circulating gossip through email, text messages or pictures or other means. Violation of privacy, recording somebody's video or clicking pictures of private parts of a child, for example, without his consent, or making fake pictures of a child. Now, those kind of issues have been seen today. And many times children's identities, location, vulnerability, their data is being sourced from online means, through social media or otherwise, and then misused. Then this is usually used by cyber criminals to stalk or harass a child or to blackmail. Many of the reported cases are there. If you would have seen the papers, every second day there is some reported case of a woman being harassed or a child being harassed in school or otherwise. And then in order to tackle these problems, the best practices people need to follow rather. One needs to have good antiviruses and anti-spywares on every device, and try to use password managers, secure Wi-Fi systems, WPA2 or 3, and then use VPNs. That is the best possibility, one can use today. And in order to avoid any kind of data leakages, one needs to keep data very secure, whether it's financial data or otherwise. Sharing least information possible, and even if there are harmless pictures, be mindful of what you put on the net, because once it's there, it can be easily misused and lifted up and morphed. So we see a lot of these cases today of especially teenagers who are not able to talk about their problems, and they end up taking very strange and very severe steps. We've seen the episodes of Blue Whale in the past. We've also seen how the Momo challenge has been rage in the country, and then fake news is also adding tensions to it. So there are incidents, and there will be new things which will keep coming, but the nature of those may be covered by most of our laws which we have today. So if it's a risky proposition, if it's enticing a child to do something illegal, depending on the activity or depending on the act, the IT Act or the POCSO, the IPC would apply. And for some special, IP thefts or otherwise, the other would apply. So most of these laws, they are there. The challenge is the implementation, because as I know that, cyber, for example, child pornography rackets are not just India specific. They could be cross border. They could be having more countries involved. And therefore, there is a need for better protection, strengthening the protection regime and strengthening the law enforcement regime with good cooperation treaties and cooperation arrangements with nations. I think that's very important. Though we have many laws in the country to deal with many problems, even Supreme Court of India has taken note of these serious issues and passed various judgments from time to time. We've seen the Prajwala case. We've seen other important decisions where the DPS MMS case happened. There were so many other issues which have arisen in this country. There has been a good consensus on blocking child porn. So we see that the trend is good, and we will see more judgments and laws enacted which will help protect the women and children in the country, or otherwise help strengthen the cyber law framework in the country. And there is a lot of sections. If you see these slides, you will see a lot of these sections. However, I want to just focus on the remedies at this point, because the moment there is a crime, need to take the electronic evidence and report this to cybercrime.gov.in. And then if there's a, something which is kind of annoying, or something which is harassing or illegal online, which is damaging to your reputation or otherwise, immediately you need to inform the social media portal also to block that content. Otherwise, we can get blocking orders from the court, and we have been successful in doing so. So both criminal and civil remedies are possible, and electronic evidence, it's important to preserve the electronic evidence. I know we are running short on time, and there is a lot to talk about on all these spheres, whether it's liability of intermediaries. We have the new digital media, digital ethic rules today. So the whole accountability aspect of intermediaries is also changing. And if we see how the due diligence measures have been made stronger in the new laws, you will see a sea change from the 2011 rules. And the effort is to strengthen the IT Act, and how much these portals need to be accountable in order to run their services in India, and so that they provide a safe space for networking, and otherwise their services are safe for people to use. So you can see a lot of ebooks on Amazon on different topics of cyber law, including data and privacy and other issues which I have written from time to time. You can have a look at that. And there are, I'm sure there are questions. We will be like to take it up. If there are any questions at this point, please feel free to ask now. I think I'm on the end of the session. I will stop sharing the screen for the time being. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful session. I think the first question is, what is the difference between 67 and 67A IT Act?
Yes, very pertinent question indeed, because 67 talks about any kind of obscene materials. It could be images or otherwise, which can be obscene. Even cartoons or sketches or extreme pornography, which is something that to one person may seem harmless, but to the other person may seem obscene. Now, the criteria should be prima facie, it should look obscene. So that will be in 67. But something which is sexually explicit materials like videos or other, I would say materials would go under 67A. And those are of more, I would say, obscenity. The nature of obscenity is more in them. And it's not simply a message or a text, something which is maybe a video or a picture. So the punishments are also, up to 3 years of imprisonment and fine there. So it is something that the IT Act has two different, classifications for these offenses for that reason.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think so many questions are coming.
Okay.
Let's take some more questions. Madam, how electronic evidence, screenshot or audio voice or a video clip can be submitted in the court of law?
Yes, very pertinent question. Thank you, whoever has raised this. But electronic evidence is something that we are dealing with every day in courts, and we have filed CDs, pen drives. We have also filed, audio, video evidence, or even printouts from the net. Those are admissible in a court of law. The method to prove them is different, because one is the admissibility. We need to prove that along with the Section 65B certificate, which I explained briefly in the presentation. And otherwise, you can produce your original device, but normally people like to just produce the evidence with the 65B certificate. So that's the way to produce it. And then to prove it, somebody can say this is false, this is tampered or otherwise. Then you have to prove it through a forensic expert's testimony, or somebody who can testify that this is actually the genuine one. So it's scientifically qualified. A forensic expert can give a report to that effect also. That's possible.
Madam, there is one question. Please tell what kind of proofs would police need in case of impersonation or sexual harassment?
What sort of proof would be needed in
Yes.
case of sexual harassment? Any clips that you have, any pictures, any messages, that can be produced as evidence. If there are any kind of malware put in the phone. Many times we have dealt with cases where the woman's phone has been infected with a malware, something like a CCTV can show everything that's happening on screen. So that mobile device was actually hijacked. So anybody person who had put the malware could actually have access all the time for on that device. So that is also produced in evidence. Anything that you can prove with basically that you have been harassed by a next person or a Y person, and sometimes you don't even know who the person is, so that investigation can follow. Yes.
Yes, madam. There are many questions. Okay, one final question, I'll take it. If I am getting constant emails by spoofed and suspicious addresses, I do not open it, but still they are not stopping anywhere. They are trying constantly. Is there any way to stop them?
Basically, you can block messages. You can block these, emails which are coming in the inbox. It's possible to block them. And if somebody is deliberately putting a lot of, spam or otherwise in, writing something which is harassing, that can be reported in the police. Those IDs can be looked into, because it's possible to know who is the owner of a domain, and likewise who is the owner of an email ID. And with some investigation, it's possible to find out, and that person will be then prosecuted for that offense.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. So you being a very busy schedule, you are participating whenever we request you be
No,
part
my
of, because
pleasure.